Alright, so I'm totally excited about this particular video. If you are a beginner and you would love to know how to connect your MySQL database to PHP and then show the data on a client screen, meaning your screen, how to accomplish that easily, but most importantly, fast. If that is something you're interested in, this video is right for you. So what we are going to do is this. This is just to give you an illustration of the graph. So we have a MySQL database in here, which we already covered in the last video. If you have not watched that video, go check it out. I will leave a link in the description for you. And then we have a middleware. This is what I call, which is called the PHP. That will allow to use PHP, talk to MySQL, take the data from MySQL, and then show it on the screen, which will be your computer. In this case, will be the server. So let's see how we can do that. So the first thing, what you need to do is have a local server. I like to use XAMPP, and you can literally just Google this XAMPP and install it. For the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. And once you have that up and running, you can click on this start button, which I have it already started. So you click on this start button for this, which will be the server. And then this is for your MySQL. And then once you have those two running, and we can rock and roll. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to close this out, and then hop on over to our MySQL server. So this is what the MySQL server looks like, and all your databases will be listed under database. And then we will go over to all of these files that we're gonna go. So let's take a look at our Visual Studio map. So in order for you to connect to the MySQL server in general, this is the code that you would need. You would need to know the server name. In this case, it is your local host. And then the password by default, no matter which computer you install it, by default, all of the usernames are on your local machine, just root. You can specify to have another username if you like to use. And by default, all of the passwords on your local machine are always going to be null, which means you don't need it. And if you want to set up a specific username and password, you can literally just go to MySQL, which will be right here. And then you can go under the tab that says user accounts. And then you can create another user by clicking on here. So let me just zoom this in a little for maybe too much. Right here. So this right over here will be where you're going to click on to create yourself another user. But for the simplicity and convenience, I am not going to create that. I'm just going to use the default username, which in this case will be the local host, and it has all the privileges, which is the root right here, and this one right here. So it's different ones, but same concept for all the usernames. So have a root, and it has no password, but it has privilege all over it, which means you can write it, you can read it, you can update it, you can delete it, and all those things. So having said that, if you want to just connect to a data server, which would be this MySQL server, if you want to just say, hey server, I just want to say if you are alive and my connection is working or not, this is what I'm going to do. Server name, which would be the local host, root, password. And then there is a process in MySQL, and it's called MySQLite. There's another one, it's called PDO. I will let you explore that, but I want to keep this very simple for you since you're just a beginner and you want to get this up and running in no time. So you're just going to use this line of code, and this particular function is part of the PHP, and it takes a few parameters to connect to your server. It needs your server name, username, password, and then it will be attached to this variable in PHP and saying, hey, connection will be this. And whenever you want to validate if you are connected or you're not connected, you could just simply go over here and say, hey, if I am connected and if I get error messages, and this is the one of the strings that's going to pass, then say connection died and I cannot proceed. However, if the connection is successful, I can go to the next level, which would be this. All right, so let's test this particular bad boy out. So I'm gonna go over here and we go to the very first file and let's see, it's connected, right? And you're like, wow, Mark, wonderful. You put this in here and that's that. So I want to test this out as well. So this time around, I'm just gonna change the username to say root1 and then save it. And now if I go back here and refresh it, this time around, we're gonna get this big ass error message saying that, hey, can't find the user one, password is not working. So, long story short, you will have error messages. This will just to validate that your connection is up and running. So that's how you connect to your database, or rather server. So the next step will be connecting to a database. So let's do that on the next thing, which we do down the line. As you can see, I'll organize this for you, make it easier, and don't worry, you will be able to download this from the link in the description for you. So let's go on. Since we're connected to the server, let's go on and create a database. So I'm gonna go over here, open this up, and let's go here. And let's go through the code. And for the most part, from here to here, it looks the same. Nothing really changed. However, if you scroll down, and then this line of code is going to be just a regular SQL statement that literally says, hey, create database in whatever the database name that you would like to connect, or rather create. I just call this 01_db code with Mark. Why not, right? If you haven't checked out the website, go check it out over there. The website is called codewithmark.com. You will find so many helpful posts in there that's going to help you finish your project a lot faster. And also, I have some hidden gifts in there that's going to help you get a lot further, a lot faster. So let's go on. So this is the SQL statement. And if you want to run it, all you really do is connection, which we already did. And this time around, we're going to use a function called query. And once we pass this variable into this, and if it's true, which means it successfully created the database, then we will get to this particular statement. And echo, if you don't know what that is, basically it's just stating a message to the browser, and that's that. However, if you do not connect to this database or there is any kind of error messages, you will be seeing this right here. And we will see both of them in just 1 second. And then once you proceed with these two checks, and then we're going to close the connection to the database because we don't want to leave it open. It's like when you go into the house, you open the door, that's the connection open. And then when you are in the house, then you close the door so that way no one else can go in the door besides you. So just keep that analogy in mind. That will help you understand why you need to close the connection. Otherwise, it will stays open. It is a security hazard, speaking from experience. So let's move on. So let's test this out. So we'll go back here and we'll go to the next file. Soon as it opens, and then we're gonna go over here. Before I do that, I'm just gonna refresh it just to show you that there is no database called 0_db. So when we go over here, go to the next file, and voila, connection successfully created the database. And just to test it out to make sure that it did, we're gonna refresh our MySQL or PHP admin, and there it is, first one, right? So now what we're gonna do is we gotta rerun it, and you will see why. And this time around, the connection to the server was made, but however, we got an error message. Why? Because the database was already created. As you can see right here, database exists. So if it exists, it will not recreate it for you, which is a failsafe because you only want to create a database just once. So we made the connection to the server. We created our very first database. And next thing, what we are going to do, we're going to go open our database, which is this. And guess what? There is nothing in here for us to look at. So first thing, or rather next thing for us to do is to create a table. So that's what we are going to look at it. So which will be this number 3 file. So let's go here, and then we'll go open this up. And then guess what? It's the same principle, connecting to the database. And this time around, we're not going to say, hey, if it's successful to us, we're just going to assume that it will connect if we get to this point. But this time, what we are doing differently, unlike before, up until now, we only entered in the server name, the username, and the password. And that was just to connect to the server. Since we already created a database, now we want to connect directly to that particular database. So what we need to do is we need to add another parameter called database, and whatever the name of your database is, you can put in here. And that will go in this string right here at the end, because that's the parameter it is looking for in that particular order. And then we're going to say, if you can't find it or can't connect to this particular database, then die, which means don't do anything. However, if you were connected, then we move on. And by the way, when you put the die in here, that's just equivalent to in JavaScript false, return false, which means it will not continue running any further. It's just going to end right here. So next thing will be the MySQL or SQL statement just to create a table. It's just going to be create table name, field, which will be ID, and then it has an integer of data type of integer, which will be a primary key. And then we have first name, we have last name, and then we have email, and then we have date. And regular date, which will be just a timestamp. Whenever somebody keys it in, it will be there. And then, just like before, when we created a table, we're going to run a query as a function and run this SQL data statement. And if it creates it, it will be right here. If it cannot, then it will show you error message. And guess what you got to do last? Close the door that you entered into your house with. That's right, close that connection. So let's do this. Before I do that, let's refresh it. And let's go to create table. Here it is. My guess created successfully. There was nothing here. We refresh it. And there it is. Now we created the table. We connected to the, once again, let's recap, connected to the server, created a database. Now, third thing is we have created a table. That's great. So hopefully everything makes sense to you. And once again, don't worry, you will have link in the description for you to download this and practice on your own. So that way you can literally master this thing and go on and create some amazing, awesome projects. So let's go on. Next step, which will be inserting data from PHP into MySQL database. That will be the next thing we're going to look at. So let's go. All right, so we're going to move on. Let's go insert data in table. That will be number 4. Here we go. So you probably guessed it. Now, all of this remain the same. Nothing will change. And this time around, we are going to add another SQL statement. And guess what happens? The top portion remains the same. The bottom portion remains the same. So you get the picture, right? You're getting the gist of things. So these two things are constant, top and the bottom. Only thing that changes is just the MySQL or SQL statement that changes. That's all. And that is all you have to understand for the simple things that you're going to be building. So insert into table name, column 1, 2, 3 that we created just a while back. And then the value, in this case, will be at johnexample.com. Once we run that, this is the row that is going to be inserted in. So let's go take a look. So right now, if I refresh this, there's 0 rows. And if I go back and insert data, this will be just one single row. And if I refresh it, oh, guess what? We got a new row. Let's take a look. ID is, since it's auto numbered, it's going to automatically add it in there. Then we have John as first name, Doe as last name, and guess what? You guessed it. And then we don't need to insert that in here because this is automatically put it in as a timestamp at the time of the insert. So exciting stuff, right? And before we go any further, I just want to make sure that you are aware this particular program that I have run or have this course that I would love for you to take, because in this course, I take all of my years of knowledge of web development and teach you how to create a 6-figure web development career. And if you are sick and tired of this stupid 9-to-5 job, or you no longer want to do the stupid 9-to-5 job, you can take this course that will literally teach you step by step how to make yourself a web developer and earn the skills and earn the money, earn the respect, so that you can enjoy life, so that you can feed your family, so that you have this wonderful thing called freedom and time to do whatever the hell you want. Be lazy, sit on the couch, go watch a movie, take a vacation, or work anywhere. If you're interested in any of those things and you're like, oh man, that sounds like me, go take this course. I will leave a link in the description. It's called 6-Figure Web Developer. So go take that, and then you'll be on your way to making 6-figure. And how do I know you can make 6-figure? Guess what? Your boy right here already accomplished that goal. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you accomplish this too. So if you like the way I teach, which if you're watching this, you do, obviously, right? Go take that course, enjoy it, learn it, apply it, execute it, get clients, get paid, and make your 6-figure. It is that simple. And I will teach you everything you need to know in that particular course. And if you're just a beginner, you're like, man, I don't have the skills, whatever. Trust me, if you use Microsoft Word, or if you know just a little basic thing of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and SQL, I'm teaching right now, PHP, I will teach you too as well. Just a basic little things, you can literally create clients that will be more than happy to give you money, whatever you ask. Those sound maybe too good to be true, but trust me, it is not. And you can totally do it. I digress. Let's go back to our video here. So next, what we are gonna do is, since we already created the table and we already inserted the data, next step will be, let's see if we can add more data by adding up multiple entries. So let's do that. So guess what? This part, stay the same. One part, stay the same. But this time around, we're adding multiple entries by simply, literally using the SQL statement, running the query, inserting the data, and then I have 3 more entries. And let's run this and just make sure we only have 1 entry. Yes, we do. And we're gonna go ahead and enter the next file, which will be to enter multiple entries. So we go over here. It created a record. If we go back and refresh it, and there you go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you can tell, 4 entries, right? That's great. And now that we have these entries, how do we retrieve them so that we can show it over here to our clients or to yourself, just to see if we can make the journey? Right now, we just connect to the server, MySQL server, created a database, created a table, entered 1 single entry, then we entered a few more entries, so we have total of 4 entries. So next thing will be, how do we take those entries and show that on the browser right here? So that's what we'll do next. So let's go back here, and guess what's going to happen? You probably guessed it. The first portion will remain the same. The bottom portion will remain the same. The only thing this time around is going to change is the middle. So this time around, we will use a SQL statement that says select ID, because that's all we want. First name, last name. That's all we want, because there are other fields. So for example, we have ID, first name, last name, email, date. We don't want to include the email or the date, right? That's where we're specifying which column we want to show. And once we have those particular columns that we want to select from our table, then we're going to run it and get the total number of rows. And then we're just going to run a while loop and echo way out. So let's take a look and select. And guess what? ID 1, 2, 3, name, and all those stuff. And there it is. All right, so let's go on to the next phase of things, which will be we're using the where part of the file where literally where a certain criteria meets, and we are going to be showing that particular row. So in this case, we're saying run this query, select ID, first name, last name from table guess where ID equals 2. So let's go over here. So we'll refresh this particular table. So we're in this table, wherever this column ID equals 2, only show this, nothing else. Go over here and we're gonna go run this, and there you go. We have name equal Mark Smith, first name, last name, and then ID equal number 2, which is right over here. So there we go. So now we have this record. Let's move on to the next phase, which will be, and I'm not going to go into this because this is pretty self-explanatory because we went through it before, but if you want me to, let's just, since we're already here, so we're going to take the result of this and set it to a variable and do the number rows. This is the number of rows within the PHP that will work with MySQL. And this is, if this has any rows, then it's going to go over here, loop through all of the rows that I found, and then show it like this. It's going to be a line break, ID, name, first name, last name, and then line break, another one right here. If you can't find it, then it's going to be 0 results. So let's move on. So we're going to go to the next phase, which will be delete. That's right. We're going to delete this particular row. So I'm just going to save this here. So that way, when you get this particular project file, and you will have no error messages. So you can use it. And don't worry, I will leave a link in the description for you. And also, if you are looking to, first of all, learn this for you doing what you're doing right now, watching this video. Second of all, if you are interested in learning to monetize the skill or find clients who will pay you to do this kind of stuff for other web development projects, I will leave a link in the description for you for my course that will teach you step by step how to build the things that clients are looking for, and you will get paid very well, if I do say so myself. I have my own web development agency that I run, and we are passing the 6 figures mark, so we are making a little more than that. And you'll be surprised how much money you can make as a web developer. And you don't have to worry about working for anybody else, or if you want to take a month off for your vacation, go sightseeing or go visit another country, your grandma, your brother, your uncle, whatever, you could do that a whole month or however long you want, because guess what? You are your own boss. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You don't have to worry about sending an approval for your boss to approve it. So wonderful things about being an independent web developer. So having said that, let's get back to it. So we're going to go over to delete. And guess what? You probably guessed it right about now. Up to here, it's all the same. And then we're going to scroll down. And in this part right here, we're going to be doing slightly different thing, which will be, first, we're going to run a select query with the ID equal 1, just to make sure that particular get exists in the table. If it does, then we're going to run another delete query that will delete it, and then show a little message that's saying, hey, this is deleted. So that's that. If for some reason in here, if it cannot find this particular record with ID equal 1, then it'll say, hey, no record found. So just to give you a visual, because I want to make sure you understand this, because when you include this in your project, you will have a better understanding. Oh, exactly, I know what I'm doing because Mark taught me. He's amazing. I'm going to subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm going to like all his YouTube videos because he's amazing. And also I'm going to buy his courses because he's amazing. And all that good stuff. All right, so let's move on. So what we are saying here is wherever the ID is equal to 1. So what that means is where column ID, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wherever this is equal to this, we're going to select this row and delete it. That will be SQL statement will be equal to we are coming over here and pressing this delete button. It's the same thing. It's just that we are doing it programmatically. Same exact thing. It's going to delete this row, and that's that. So let's go on and see this in action. So we're going to go back, go to the delete part, and it says record deleted successfully. And just to validate that it did do it, go over here, refresh this table, and guess what? Number 1 is no longer there. And if we rerun this again, this time around, it should say no record found because there is no number 1 ID in the column. And there you go. There is no ID number. So let's go back to our thing. So we have accomplished this where we successfully looked for the column with the ID where the record number is 1. It found it. Oh, wonderful. Then we deleted it with this particular statement, and then we showed it, and then we ran it again just to see if it exists again. But it didn't, so therefore we got a no show error message. All right, so let's move on. So this time around, guess what? Only one more thing left to do in the CRUD operation, which is create, insert, create, read, delete, and update. I think it's update and delete. But anyway, moving on. So update is the only one that's left. So we're gonna open this up. Let's go over here. Let's close this out. So once again, same bullshit up here. And then in here, we're saying update this SQL statement, update in table where column name equal, well, update the last name where to code with Mark because we are coding with Mark, where ID equal number 2. And if it updates it, it's going to run successfully. If it finds any error messages, it's going to do this. So let's go here. Let's go to update. And before I do that, just want to make sure number 2 does exist. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And last name, which will be this, is going to change to code with Mark. I think that's what we're doing. Last name, yes. So let's go over here. Update it. Record updated successfully. Perfect. And if we refresh this thing right here, this particular field should change. And there you have it. It changed. Wow. Right. So up until now, I hope you are enjoying this. It is pretty straightforward, and we are just literally learning the basics. And we're using something that is called the native PHP MySQL class. And if you want to use this, you can use it. And you just got to keep on repeating the process again and again. However, your boy Mark is going to make your life a whole lot easier. How, you may ask? I am going to give you my class, my PHP class for connecting to the database. There is this particular URL link that you can go and learn all about it. But I'm going to show you just a couple of things just to get you started, right? So this is where you're going to download it, but it will be included in here. And this is where you're going to go to learn more about the thing. And by the way, this class, you could use it for the license that I give is use it for whatever the FFF you want to use it for. You have no restriction. If you want to sell this, you can sell it. If you want to use it for your commercial, personal project, whatever you want to use it for, you can use this class for. Any code that I give you, free to use it, distribute it, sell it, whatever you want with it. Because if you make money, I'm happy for you, man. Because you're going to come back to me and learn more from me. All right, let's move on. So this is a PHP class that I created that I use on all of my projects that I create when it has to do with the connection to the databases and all. This is one of them. There are others as well, but this is one of them, one that I use most of the time. You can snip through it later on. When you have the code, you can download it as you wish. It does pretty much all the operation. You can select it. It will connect to the database, select all the rows, insert it, update, delete, and you could run a general query if you like to, so on and so forth. So let's go on to the next phase. This is just a simple class, and what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to use it. So in here, we are up to number 10. As you can probably guess, I like to things keep organized. makes your life a whole lot easier. All right. So what we're going to do up top here is we're going to include the file just by simply with this line. And then we're going to create an array, assign it to a variable. And in this array, this is a multi-dimensional array, and it's going to have this, which will be the host, user, password, database. Similar to what we have done here, literally exact same thing. Right here, you got the server, you got the server name, username, password, and database. This is exactly the same thing, but the class, what it does is it will go on and use this particular array and pass it into this class. Basically, it's just a function that you pass this parameter into it, this one right here. And then first thing, what we'll do is we'll just test to see if it has connected. So I'll just delete everything out, rather not delete, but comment out. So we're just gonna go test to see if it connects to the database or not. I think I may have spelled this wrong, but there we go. Now we fixed it. So we go back here, go back, and we're gonna go over here, go with MongoDB connect, number 10. And there we go. Now we are connected successfully to the database because we have all of our credentials right, which would be the host name, and password and database. So comment this out, and now you will see how useful this particular class is. Just like before, when we were running it, we had to go on, just show you. Let me go back here. Let's do this, select one, same concept. So we have this, we connected to the database, and then we ran the SQL statement. Then we ran this, and then we got the number of rows, and then we did the for while loop, so on and so forth. Yeah, so basically we wasted literally 20 lines of code with all that stuff, right? If you use this, and let's say you have included this in here, you can literally just copy this, put it in here. I just made it easier just so it looks a little prettier. That's about it. But if you want, I could literally just copy this, put it in here, and then we can use this particular variable because that will be becoming your database connection. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to say connect since we're not doing this anymore. So lack of a better word, it will only be like maybe 2 lines if that. So just to show you, copy this, we'll go here. And if I just format it where here, so this will be considered 1 line. I'm not gonna do it right now because I like it a little nice and clean. It looks prettier, I think. So it'll just be just 1 line of this. We have a database connection and we're done. Our next thing will be the second line, which will be a database, connect to it, select all fields from table this. And now we add it to, or rather assign it to this particular variable. And once we have that, and we're done, literally, we don't longer have to do that. And then we could just for loop this. So what does that mean? So we're gonna say, use this as array, because this is what it's gonna do when it gets it. And then go through each one of the rows and get the, which will be this, and then get the row, column name ID, column name first name, column name last name, and so on and so forth. And line, it will be a line break at the end, and then step. So let's take a look at this. So we're gonna go over here. Look, same exact thing. So we don't have number 1, that's why it's no longer there. But it's so much easier, right? Don't you agree? Wouldn't you say? Let me know in the comments below how you feel about this. Do you think it's useful, helpful, or it's just something you would use it in your project? Because now it looks a lot of line of codes, but trust me, when you are done with this and start using it and implementing, you'll be like, holy cow, Mark, this is amazing. So we have done this, so let's move forward. And then we're gonna go over here. So what I did was this. I create a little function, a file call, and I create a little function called db app db. Basically, it just connects to the database. So it includes this file, includes this, assigns to this, return it, and that's it. And you will see it now. In the next file, what we did was we included this, which is this file right here, which is just the database connection. and I'm calling this function in here, and then boom, assign it to that function, which is the app._db, assign it to this, and we're running the same exact thing. The only difference is this. Let me just make this a little wrap around. There we go. So we have one line of code, and the beautiful part about running it, the select function in here, and like I said before, you can open up the class. There is a link in which, let me just show you, which will be this. You can literally just go to this link within the class, and you can learn all the different functions that this class has to offer, all 5 of them, and how you can utilize it. And once you learn that, run it, you're like, holy cow, this is amazing, right? So that's that. And let me close this out. So we connect to the database. This is the file that has the function, which is this, so assign it to the DB. And the next thing what we're doing is running SQL just to select, and we're saying select this, the whole table, from table this, assign it to Q1. And then this is going to put it automatically in an array for you. So what that means is this, if you could say this variable is greater than 0, which means it has at least one row or array, then go do the for loop thing. However, if it does not, then say no record found. All right, so let's run this now. So what I'll do is this, I'll just open up another tab, not that, copy this, paste this, and then we'll go back. Maybe not. Come on, code, it'll work. So we're gonna run this, and now this is the before pretty version, I guess. And this is with the function where we are saying ID equal to first name is this, last name is this, so on and so forth. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm saying ID equal this, row ID, first name, last name, and that's that. And next thing, if you want to insert, and I'll just show you this and I'll wrap this up. If you want to insert using this particular class, is super easy. So all you do is use this function called insert. The first parameter it takes is a table name. And the second parameter it takes is array, which is by column, whatever ID you want to put in there, column, whatever value you want to put in there. I think you got the picture, right? So that's that. And so we'll go back here and then we'll run it like nothing happened, right? The reason being is this. We run this first and then we insert it. Just to show you that it did insert. The last ID here is 4. So if I run it, there it is. If I go here, here it is. If I rerun it now, it's gonna go select that table right here and then right here, and then insert another row just to show you and prove my point. There it is. I'll rerun it. There it is. Perfect. So hopefully that was helpful and to you. And like I said, I will include all of the code that we have worked on in this particular series. I hope you find it helpful. And if you did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff, just so I can create more stuff for you. And I will also leave a link in the description for you, just so in case if you are remotely interested in learning to make money with this web development project skills that you have, or if you want to improve it just so you can learn to make money, or if you are interested in learning to make, there's going to be a link in the description for you to go check it out. So having said all of that, I'm going to conclude this. As I always said, happy coding, guys. I'll see you on the next one.